One of the first things, Matt, I heard about you was my wife was saying how you'd had a poor experience in our store. So I waited to make sure this was the first thing we talked about on the podcast.
True? That's not true.
No. She just said like something to the effect of like, and this is where I want to talk about you because you guys have a phenomenal experience and you guys have really thought through the experience for your patients.
Yeah.
And we really care about experience. Yeah. And so your experiences in the store, it wasn't that I think that she said was poor. It was that sometimes you're just in a hurry and you want to be able to get what you need and you can't, wisecrack with people as you're trying to check out.
You guys are like super nice and super approachable. Like you almost be like hyped up because like I'm an introvert and you guys like, hey, how's it going? Which is what we promote at Fit, Mm-hmm. But if you're just like, I gotta get out, it's like.
Here's a question.
We call that sensory acuity, and it is the number one thing we work on with our guys.
In fairness, I've had great experiences going.
If you jingle,
here we go.
I've always liked my experience.
We try to say like, hey, if people are jingling their keys, if their car is still running, these are all like the cues of just check them out.
See, I always look agitated though. Like I always look like I'm in a rush.
No, I love it. I keep asking questions, and I'm like, man, I've been here way too long. But I will say, when I came in,
deeper already.
The last time I came in,
that's nice.
I knew of you guys, and I knew a lot of people.
Right? Like a host.
But I left there, and I think I called Matt or somebody. I'm like, those guys have that shit figured out, man. Just because of you could tell that everybody had been trained, and you guys definitely have systems of how to like create the best experience for the people coming in.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the goal.
It's
while still them maintaining their own humanity.
Correct.
We want to humanize our employees,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Like they need to have their own stories, their own ways of talking, and still feel like themselves.
The hardest thing about like face-to-face interaction, you guys probably know this, is like every person that comes in the store looks at customer service and great customer service in a different way.
Correct.
Right? So it's like if somebody comes in the store and they just grab something off the shelf real quick and they're hightailing it to the counter, their good customer service is get them the hell out of here quickly, right? But if you also have the guys that, they come in the store and it's like they're not going to open up and say, hey, I need help, but you have to kind of uncover it. So it's a lot to, it's a lot to try.
It takes a while to become savvy at that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so much different now than like anywhere else. Like you go and you have a teenager who's on their phone or not even like paying attention.
Wearing headphones.
Oh,
it's a common thing now.
I just think, that whole world is just dying.
With our team, we try to like morph your personality to match what theirs is. Like it still be authentic in yourself, but if you've got somebody that comes in that loves the Chiefs and sports and cusses and stuff, you're going to meet them there. But if you got somebody that comes in that's softer spoken, maybe a nurse or something, you're like toning it down, but you're still yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what you guys
mirroring their behavior.
Correct. But it's still like you got to be authentic, or they can like, they'll smell that. They'll smell it and they're done.
People can sniff that out real fast, like you're saying. Yeah. But I was just going to say to your point, Matt, there might be times where, and we've had to like genuinely really put this through our own filter of like, should we do this or not? Because in a world where we feel like customer service is dying everywhere else you go, we feel like we can really stick out
into it.
Yeah. And absolutely make that, one of our best competitive advantages. But for some people, it's like, do we want to put a self-checkout in? Yeah. Do we want to make it
the same?
Because CVS, they have both, right? Yeah. You can pick. Yeah. And, for some people, that might be the best option is them being able to run in and grab that.
We had a discussion with Fit. We have the option of putting like a kiosk where you walk in and, instead of having we call them PCCs, where instead of having something like check you in, you have a little iPad and they just basically boop, 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 and they're ready to go and they can swipe their card. But we feel like
that saves you dough, right?
But I hate walking in somewhere and I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, what do I do?
At McDonald's, they got the big, tall vertical, so I think like, it could be cool. Like it's wild, right? Because it saves you a ton of money as a business. If let's say not only you don't do an iPad, maybe you do one of those like very tall vertical TVs that look like it's, in the wall or something. You feel very futuristic. Maybe it improves the experience, maybe upscales your brand, right? But then at the same time, you don't get any kind of conversation. There is no connection. There is no human element. You're at the end of the day, you are just a number. And in a McDonald's environment, you don't care, right? Like that
is true.
What's the point? So I guess
we always said the longer that people hang around in the clinic, the better patients are going to be because they're going to want to come back because it's kind of like
for sure
the family. And we really pride ourselves on being a lifestyle brand, and we want people to actually come in regularly and be part of their life, part of their health journey, not just I'm injured, I'm done being injured. So our PCCs, if they'll sit there and get to know their kids and stuff, then they're easier to like schedule. We know we can call them and move them around, and they're very helpful and accommodating. So you lose that if you go clear technology, right? Because the human interaction we all love, and we figured that out during COVID. Like I was like, dude, I do not like this at home shit. I want to be around people, and that's why we chose our profession. And you guys too, you like the interaction with your customers, right?
Yeah,
It's
culture,
the goal.
culture, and human interaction's huge for us. But I think in what you guys do, you know, the chiropractic world, it's like it lends itself to interaction because it's like you guys are gonna, you know, it's like we're gonna be talking face to face. You guys are gonna be working on me. You're gonna be touching. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's a hands-on.
It's a
actual
hands-on
experience.
experience. So it's like the more interaction with a person you can get in that, the better off, but this is just my personal opinion, the better off it would be, you know?
Oh, your patients end up, I hate to say you probably shouldn't go there, but you end up being friends with most of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you get to know them. They get
It's
to
like
know
getting
you.
your hair cut or,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the people you visit, you see them once a month, et cetera. It's, I mean, like you can't help but develop
Care
a
about
real
'em.
relationship with them, you know? You know, hey guys, I'm going to take 30 seconds just to say, if you haven't already, we would love for you to support the show. This is not a podcast that we try to make money off of. It's 100% to support our local fitness community. If you like to support local fitness and you are somebody who likes to support that, we'd ask you to support it by supporting the show. Just give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share. It all helps. We appreciate you guys so much for listening. Let's get back to the episode. But dude, I've always wanted to tell you guys, you know, if you're a business owner, you always kind of notices the other businesses that are making moves, that are growing, that are trying. I would say the phrase I always like to use is like they're actually trying.
Yep.
And I just got to give you guys so much credit. You know, we moved here in 2016. We didn't know I didn't know a soul. I didn't know anybody. I did, you know, moved here, no family, no friends, just starting a business.
He didn't have family or friends anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came to Kansas City for family and friends.
It's the same process.
Yeah. All I had was a dog.
Life was sad either way.
So when I'm looking at businesses in Kansas City, especially ones that are, you know, smaller footprint in the fitness industry, you guys have stood just head and shoulders above the rest in the way that you guys have scaled. And what I want to make sure I make very clear is that, you know, you guys have shown me that it's possible to scale a chiropractic business, because I had several friends who had went the chiropractic route over the years, and they're all still at one clinic. Mm-hmm. And so you guys have shown that it's possible to scale a chiropractic business outside of it being a owner-operator model. Yeah. And it's just very impressive, you know. So I just want to say congratulations to where you guys have gotten.
Thank you.
Because it's nothing is by accident, and I'm sure you guys have sacrificed God knows what to get to this point. But just know that like it's working. We like Fit Muscle and Joint is synonymous with chiropractic, I think, in Kansas City. And then I also want to double that down with we pour so much into the community in the form of events and trying to put ourselves in front of other people. And if there was ever a business that I would say that every time we set up a table somewhere,
we're right there.
I'm like high fiving the Fit Muscle and Joint person. Yeah, and it's in you know, I feel like very similar with us. The faces are all different because of the amount of different clinics that you guys have. I'm meeting so many different people, all representing the same brand, but all having the same values.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just very hard to do.
I think you guys do a really good job of blending the brand. You know, when I see the brand and you guys' logo, I think you've done such a good job of like making that. You know, you see the logo and you're like, these guys can be trusted, you know, and it's not a specific person, right? And I think that's super important too, because that's kind of what we try and do too. It's like we want people to be loyal to the person that it's helping them, but we need to build trust in the brand overall. And I think you guys have done the best job of that in Kansas City by far when it comes to like chiropractic.
And that's kind of thing from the get-go. Like we didn't want to call it Matt and Chad Chiropractic. We wanted it to be a brand because we knew there'd be a second, a third, and a fourth associate. So we wanted to build to something else. Like in these podcasts, like Tyler brought up, like, no, let's have one of our team leads do it. Like we want everyone else to be the face, and you know, he and I can kind of fade to the background and do our thing. But we want everyone in our company to kind of feel like it's their company. You know,
Well, the greatest compliment we could get is when they don't even know who we are.
Right.
No, but seriously,
I asked you what the ownership structure was because I wasn't even sure.
Well,
because
we've
like,
had people-
I have guys that I talk to at events. I'm like, this guy's got to have ownership. You know, that's a compliment to you guys. We get people that say that about our employees too, where they're like, "Are you an owner?" You know, it's a compliment to you guys.
We've
we
started
aim
to
ask.
structure our business to be like everyone's owners as far as sharing in the profits. We disclose profit loss, and we do a bonus pot every quarter now. So it's an owner operator type model that we've evolved at, because if not, people are going to leave. So, you know, if we can take care of a lot of the tough stuff with business and you're still able to earn a great income and enjoy the fit family, you're going to stay around. So our model of pay has changed to mimic everyone's an owner.
So did you guys have years where you lost good talent because you didn't do it that way?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that was my first question when I saw what I saw, because of course, I know a handful of people that started a clinic right outside of right when they got done with school, of course.
Yeah.
And then there's those that are young and hungry that are working for you guys. And I'm like, why are they, saying, so how long before they build up a client base where they say, you know what, I can do this? Because some people, right, they just have the self-doubt.
And we've
you build them confidence, you show them how to do it. And
we've had a few people that, they like Cole. You met Cole, a few years ago with me, and he went to Springfield.
Yeah, Springfield. But man, we have a great relationship. And if we can give back, if we can give, to go back to even chiropractic, like when we were in school, we wanted to be different. And that's really how we grew, is because we were different. The problem with chiropractic is you could go into a chiropractor and everybody's doing 20 different things. You don't even really know what chiropractic is. So our job was to go out in the community and show us how we were as chiropractors. Mm-hmm. So when we find people that match that, and then the patients come in and get that experience, they grow, and then they take what they've learned from us, that model, and they start to prove out that they can do it on their own, which is the greatest compliment to us. We usually have really good relationships with people that have left to go do their own thing. So we always said we wanted to give back to chiropractic too.
When you guys decided to do this is one of my favorite questions I could think of, and that is just, you guys were intentional about not putting chiropractic in the name.
100%.
Why?
It goes back to the very beginning. We didn't want to be like Matt and Chad. We wanted to be a brand. We always thought that it would evolve into, it could be a lot. Like at first we actually wanted to do like the gym hybrid type model. But also, I kind of liked regenerative medicine and stuff too, and I thought that would tie into muscle and joint clinic. We were actually about 2 years into chiropractic school, sitting there writing names up, sending them back and forth.
We still got the screenshots there.
And all the different names we had and stuff. So we were super motivated to find the right name that kind of spoke. Because if you want to see it and kind of feel it, but we also wanted it to be able to evolve. Because everybody always, ego or not, would always put their name chiropractic, or everybody always said just physical therapy. It's like, well, there's more to it than that. The only issue is some people think we're a fitness company too, which that's the only thing we got at first.
It's coming soon in the Prairie Village.
Yeah. No, seriously.
2026.
Yeah.
No, there's a certain stigma, I think, with chiropractics too. Like it's just, adjust them, rack them, crack them in and out the door. And we knew we were different, coming out of school, and we spent thousands of dollars going to numerous courses where we could develop different skill set than what they teach you in school. So we wanted to try to find a way to kind of deviate from that stigma that's been around for years.
Sure.
For basically what you just said, which is like at the beginning, it sounds like you were thinking about a lot of different things. I feel like I see you guys as business as being really focused, like a lot of chiropractors, they get into like weird stuff, where they're like, we also are selling colloidal silver,
That's our website too.
We're doing, you guys, we're selling, we're going to tell you like what food allergens you have and do a blood test on you. And you're like,
yep.
What stops you guys from doing that kind of stuff?
Well, going through school, you go to chiropractic because you've had experience with a chiropractor and like you've seen the power of like just getting adjusted and moved around. Like, wow, that's great. When you show up like wanting to learn and not just be in the drinking the Kool-Aid of just chiropractic, you start to realize there's so much more to it. Mm-hmm. Physical therapy is awesome. Corrective exercise, awesome. Personal trainers that know that stuff is awesome. Soft tissue therapy that most chiropractors don't do is amazing. Regenerative medicine and supplementation is great to partner with them. So when you look at all that, you're like, man, I can't go to bed at night just adjusting you. So we had to come up with kind of a new model of chiropractic. If you came into Fit today and said, I hurt my shoulder, you could end up on a physical therapist, chiropractor, and even one of our occupational therapists schedule, and you wouldn't feel any different. And that there was like, how do you guys do the PT, OT, chiro model? I was like, what do you mean? We're all like trying to heal musculoskeletal pain. What makes us great is I can walk next door to our certified hand therapist and be like, dude, what do you think about this? I'm just going to send them over to you because this is above my head.
Right.
You start to create experts within Fit. We've got some return to sport guys that do dynamometers, and you're looking at motion capture stuff to get them back to like high level athlete. At the end of their treatment, I may send them over there because that's their good thing. So we've created this like environment where we're all learning off each other. And we literally went through these courses and said, well, that's a cool thing in physical therapy. We're going to bring in dry annealing. We're going to do McKinsey for low back and neck pain, which is PT. This is cool chiropractic. Massage, this is pretty cool for massage. And we just started to build this model. Chiropractors got the bad rap of 3 minutes, then you go sit on all this shit, and then you leave. And you pay the same. I mean, you'd walk into Fit and be like, they spent this whole time with me. I don't even know what they were doing. They were giving me stretches. They were working me over. I'm sore. They put some needles in me. They adjust me, and they give me some advice. That was awesome. And it was the same price.
Yeah. Solving problems regardless.
The niche. Find your niche, right?
Yeah. Start from like the issue and work your way back instead of like, we want to do all of these things. Yeah. How do we fit it into the patient?
I'm going to take everybody and put them through our system versus taking everybody and specializing, customizing it to their needs.
We built it, like our focus when we first came out was because we were chiros, so we weren't going to get orthopedic referrals because of all the things you talked about. Well, you're going to send them over and they're going to do all this stuff. I just want you to do rehab on their shoulder. I don't want you doing orthotics when they have a shoulder injury and like selling them all the new age thing and pillows and all this stuff. Right. So when we decided to do that, and we brought in like the right people, we were able to build that brand through those types of therapies. And at first we focused on one. It was called ART. And we went to people where they had high cumulative trauma. We went to CrossFit gyms, 5Ks, 10Ks, marathons, people that were working out. Those people want to stay working out and they put their body through a lot. So they have tendonitis and stuff. We would literally set up at the end of races or in the CrossFit gyms, work on them. My elbows would bother me, and then they would feel great. Like, I'm going to come see you. You know what I mean? So that was our focus in the beginning. We didn't have PTs. We didn't have OTs.
Well, how's that changed? Because
Which you still do it. You were just at my gym.
Still a huge focus. I mean, you guys are going to be at Orange Theory this Saturday downtown in the Crossroads.
Well, that's our bread and butter, and that's what we tell. When we hire PTs, we have to educate them. We're like, we love scripts. We love the fax machine rolling from doctors. That's not our red thread. That's not our bread and butter. We go to the person in the community. We form relationships. We call them community. I hate marketing, the term marketing. I call it community engagement. That's Tyler and Krista and the rest of the team. I didn't come up with anything.
That was my idea.
The irony right here.
But we were talking about
that's awesome.
Morgan. We were talking about the pandemic though, and I think the fact that we're so engaged community is what kept us alive, because a lot of our, PT peers, they had to shut their doors because the ortho scripts weren't coming in the door, whereas we had patients who knew us and word of mouth, and we were able to bring them in. So I think that the fact that it is such a passion of ours, it kept us from going under.
Well, it's also, when you go and support people's events like that, they want to turn around and support you.
100%.
And during COVID, everybody was trying to support everybody. If we had friends that were anywhere, we were just like, go see them. Like, all small business, especially local small business, needs help. And so, we spent a good, year and a half, 2 years just trying to do whatever we could to promote local small business because we knew how hard it was.
Especially KC. I think KC's really good about that. Like, I'm not sure the same with other cities, but it seems like we're really good about promoting each other and trying to support each other.
Well, when you're out there with your tent and booth and you're looking at each other, you're like, okay, we're doing this together, aren't we?
Yeah, we're 3 days.
You know each other, but without knowing each other, you're like,
and it's a grind. Like Chad and our first year, there's 52 weeks out of the year. We did 50 events that first year.
Every damn weekend, man.
Yeah.
Every weekend.
We had these degrees, and you're doing the best you can.
Very humbling.
What year did you start?
There'd be like a
2012.
Okay. But people would just go to Warrior Dash, and they'd be just soaked in mud, and they're drenched, and we're out there. It's like 100-degree weather, and we're kind of pissed about being there too. They come down to like, hey, working my calves, I'm next. And you're like, sure. And like some people just can be kind of.
It's humbling. Yeah. It's humbling. But it's also
you guys
like.
Don't forget those times.
No, you got to put your dues in, man. You got to. The blood, sweat, and tears literally has all happened.
For every one of those people that come up to you and that are like genuinely appreciative, like that recognize you didn't have to be there and that you didn't have to take up your Saturday to be there to help them.
Yep.
There's 4 that don't, and like you were saying, like you just feel like you're getting kicked, you know what I mean? And when you're down at times when you're doing those events. And so for all of our listeners, like if you are in that season of life where you maybe probably in the early stages of either your business or your career and you're having to work those uncomfortable shifts or those really, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like the most
thankless,
inconvenient times, Friday nights, Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, and so forth. Just know like it's all worth it. The right people will obviously see the value in what you're doing, and absolutely you'll be able to see some compounding interest from those events.
Well, it gives you empathy too. Like when you're out there, like at an event, you see people marketing. Like you have a different perspective because like they don't want to be on a Saturday morning. They have things they want to do. And
we used to say, he always said this: the world knows we're working.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We would we'd look at each other and like, I don't know if that was a good event, but we were doing something. And I could sleep better on a Saturday night if I went to an event.
Correct.
Because I'm like, dude,
give me one person from every event that we go to. As long as we can just get one customer.
You remember your first ones too, and you're like, we call them trees, like seeds, and it's all like one person came in from this event that most people would deem bad. We have a lot of people hire like, we're going to bad events. I'm like, these aren't bad.
Yeah.
Every event's good. Now, can you have a good, better, best event, which we try to like label them, but we want to go to the best event. But going to an event and meeting people is still good.
Yeah.
You know, so don't say that, because I can tell you when I was we were at this one thing in the forest. We talked to 2 people, you know, where it's sweaty, mosquitoes, and that patient came in, her whole family came in, they had great insurance, and now they still come in 12 years later.
Lifetime value of a customer.
That was a great event.
patient,
People are like,
like
that's
you
a
said,
terrible,
one person.
that was a terrible event. No, that was one of the best events we ever did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to keep that in mind when you're growing a business or trying to, even in business, trying to improve yourself and get up the corporate ladder, so to speak, because that's your still business within a business. And just be different long enough, people will notice. Be
Entrepreneur,
different.
which is kind of like what we preach to our guys is
That's
like,
who we are.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like you guys are your own little, you know, business that you're running here.
Well, we started
do the
ourselves
same
working
thing.
for somebody else, right? So like we're franchisees. Like I don't know if you guys knew that part, but we're franchisees. I mean, I started working here at 19, working the counter, and he was 21. So
I think Tyler told me a lot. That's awesome, man.
I appreciate it. It's just you know, like if you start acting like you own the place, eventually you do.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I
not
always
like how
love
it's
it.
not putting your feet up on the counter like you own the place, but it's sweeping every morning, regardless of it being on the checklist of things you got to do. You know, wiping down the windows.
It's
even though
being
it's
at events every weekend.
recognizing the value in being in an event every weekend. Yeah.
And we watch that too. Like we have guys, like there's like trash on the floor. Like who's going to pick up the trash? Yeah. Because most of your guys will just walk by, but I would say majority of people will stop and pick up the trash because they care, right?
Right.
I got a question for you guys. You guys, so you started in 2012. Chiropractic school is pretty expensive,
Yes.
right? So can you guys give me an idea as to like what the, you know, what made you guys want to do it on your own? What was the financing like? What did it take for you guys to feel like you finally got over the hump?
I'll kind of go quick through my history, like how I got into it real fast. But like basically I had a really good experience going to a chiropractor, walked in, no expectation in pain. I was like, this is awesome. My family is entrepreneurs, so I always wanted to run my business. Went to school, ended up getting an engineering degree. My family were engineers, so I just did that. But I knew that would help me in business. I always had this pull to help people and own a business. And I started like thinking like, wow, I saw a chiropractor that kind of had a gym. I'm like, that is really cool. I was reading Men's Health. I wasn't reading Popular Science. So after 4 years of being an engineer, went to school. And that's important because we were older when we went to chiropractic school by like 4 years. Most people come right out of college. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to chiropractic school. So they're excited about the diploma. I was like, just give me that piece of paper so I can go do what I need to do. So when I went to chiropractic school, I was serious. Like I was going to run my business, period, because I knew that was the only way to get where I wanted to be. Fortunately, I met him in class, started working out. We were drunk one night at Kansas Hall. I'm like, you want to be business partners? I'm like, yeah. He's like, let's go have a formal meeting tomorrow. We did at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Formal meeting.
Yeah.
And I threw a beer in his neighbor's yard and we got in trouble.
We were smoking cigars. We're starting a business, honey.
What kind of sauce were the wings? That's why.
I do Asian Zing. You used to do the sliders all the time. We used to go there all the time. I'm Asian Zing, but we'd get
There's a spicy garlic sandwich.
say the spicy
and
garlic.
and for whatever reason,
one.
their tall 24-ounce beers taste really good.
And the wedges with the what's the seasoning on those?
Cajun. See, I'm a fatty man. I love food. So. If I keep doing this too much, it's going to go from fit to fat. We have to change the name. You know what I mean?
That's a good segue.
Yeah.
I was wondering, you guys have always had the dots in between the letters. Is there an acronym to that?
Functional integrative triage. It means if you looked at the way somebody moves and you usually pick the right one or two things, you can fix everything.
Nice.
If you have a bad squat and you've pulled your calves, you have tight calves. If you improve the calf mobility, your squat's probably a little bit better. Or you talk about intra-abdominal pressure. So finding the right thing. So when a patient comes in, a lot of times for chiropractic, you don't have as long with them as you'd think. They don't have that script of 3 times a week. For 6 weeks, my doctor said to come 18 times. Well, easy. You come with your shoulder. I heard a chiropractor fix my buddy in a couple visits. So you're like, shit, I got to get on this thing. So you got to like make an impact fast. Yeah. We say we want to see change in 2 weeks. I want you to feel different. Yeah. If not, then we start the referral process.
Sure.
So when we got started, what was the original question about?
We were just talking about.
I had to tell you about my life.
Basically,
first.
your origin story when it came to
coming out of college.
Yeah.
Oh,
so then coming in a little bit later and coming.
This
in
is
with intention.
This is a good story for us. There's a couple of them, but so we decided to be partners, and from that moment on, we cared about the business. We were just trying to get through school, take all the classes we can to be different. We put on the suits, wrote the business plan, went around to 10 different banks. There's a lot of funny stories with that. Our parents kind of knew at the time we weren't probably going to get a loan, but we thought we were going to, and we just kept going and going. And
we look good.
Yeah, we look good. Yeah. I mean, I had the nice suit on the business plan. They didn't give a shit, man. The people that were meeting with us were younger than us, and they had a power trip over us.
You need to tell the story. We were late. We went to the wrong bank, and I'm in a suit. It's probably July.
These are for the funny stories. He literally starts, he says the wrong guy's name, starts sweating. And we're in this meeting. And
like profusely.
This kid crosses legs, slides the business plan. You know when you slide it across the table, kind of like a dick? And I'm like
fuck you.
I remember that guy's name, and he actually went to the bank we were at, and I said I didn't want to work with him because I remembered him 10 years later. Anyways, I hold little,
Oh, yeah, we do that too.
That's why I tell people I'm blinded to, I hold grudges to succeed. I hate to say it. When you watch like the Michael Jordan story of how he holds all those grudges, I feel like I kind of do that too. I'm like, I don't know if that's healthy.
Yeah, you got to have it in business.
I was on a podcast, somebody else's podcast, relatively recent, and I'm like, the FU list for people that, like, is it healthy? No, but that fuel burns hotter.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Even still now, like, well, something that kind of burns us, and you'll kind of get placed, and you'll kind of get content with things, and you're like, well, now we're ready to go again.
I almost say a good night's sleep and you wake up and you're ready again. But you can be done at the end of one day and be like, I don't know if I want to do this. You wake up tomorrow, the next morning, you're like, let's fucking go.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He starts but the funny thing is he starts sweating profusely. And they go, hey, would you like a water? And he was like, no, he's good. 2 minutes later, he goes, hey, I need to run to the bathroom. Does anybody want a water? And they all look at me. There's 3 people sitting there. The guy that wants nothing to do with us. I'm like, this isn't.
So I'm in a bathroom, like with towelettes, trying to like dry myself until I'm done.
Are you wearing a gray suit so it really shows through?
Yeah. But you know, like when someone sees you sweat.
Tie suit.
I was gonna say, if you're wearing gray, it's like you're just asking.
But the worst is like when you start sweating and they see you sweat, like it just makes your anxiety. So you just sweat more. Like it was. We didn't get the loan.
All of the movies
we didn't get the loan. We didn't get the money on that.
They just told you right up front, like, listen, guys, all right, you're not going to get the loan.
You guys seen Little Rascals? Remember that movie?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's like they're stacking on top of each other, wearing the suit, going into the bank, and they're like, "What's your account number?" He's like, 7. They're like, and they're like, 8.
Little Rascal, you ate yourself there.
Yeah, man. That's a classic.
We ended up getting my parents. Finally said, okay, so they put up some land as a collateral. They didn't give us money, they just secured it. So I got $65,000, he got $65,000. That got us started. We were managing the Cleveland Chiropractic Gym at the time that the Y broke their lease, so they had money. It was a not-for-profit, so some deal where they had to pay it out. So we managed that, so it helped a little bit. We took that money. We made my paycheck for the first month every month for 2 years was $1,900 a month. That's what we made the first 2 years.
Rolling in it,
and that was a lot of money to us. Then $1,900, that's take home for me, and then $1,900 for him, $1,960 to be exact. So our motivation was to prove to our parents and pay them back.
Yeah,
because when this is a good story. Like my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, his girlfriend at the time, my mom, his mom. I remember I'm sitting on the couch talking to Matt, and everybody kept saying, why don't you go work for somebody first? Why'd you leave engineering to go into debt more when you're already in 200,000? I go, because this is what I believe. And I remember I called Matt and I was like going off on my girlfriend, my mom, no one wants me to do this. And I like stood up so fast and I was so pissed I like almost passed out. I'm like, so I was like, we're gonna do this. And that really, like, it's those moments that we were talking about. We had a great conversation for this. It's those moments that we all like have had and we're like, yeah. And that's kind of the stuff that drives you forward.
Was that like before or after you guys
in school getting ready to start? So we're getting these loans from our parents. But our motivation was to pay ourselves minimal and pay that loan back.
Yeah.
See, we did it. So we did it about a year and a half.
6 to 8 months, we pay back that full loan.
Well, thinking about like this, like we talked about this a little bit before, but it's what's like I think novel about your guys' story is you didn't think, like from the very beginning, you're talking about the logo. You're like, well, we want it to be a brand because we know it's going to be 2, 3, 4. You went into it knowing we're not going to have one of these clinics, and that was like part of the way you ran the first one, and so. Just the amount of people that decided to open up their own chiropractic business and they're like, well, let's see how this one goes, right? Yeah. Let's just try to get this one off the ground. And they weren't thinking we need to do 2, 3, 4, right? And we always try to explain to people, the larger your goal, the more action you're going to have to take, right? Yep. And so it's like, hey, how much more weight are you going to lose? If you say you want to lose 100, it's going to require massive action. You say you want to lose 10, well, the people are trying to lose that 10 for 5 years because it doesn't require much, right? So it's just, I think it's extremely impressive that you guys and we didn't make a big deal out of it, but when you said I'm going to open up 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're in school thinking like that, it just sets the table for what you guys have been able to do.
When we read the E-Myth too, I think.
Oh, great.
College, I
love that book.
Like no matter if you decide to have 1 or 20 locations, you still need to build your company as if you're going to franchise it.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of helped plant that seed too for future growth.
We've always had that mindset. Like we always saw eye to eye on that as well. And when we first started doing the podcast, we'd ask people, hey, what are your next steps? And we were surprised. A lot of people were like, and I'm just like, oh man, that must be like kind of, not as common as I would have thought.
What we found is that most people were just looking for,
replace their job.
Exactly. Like basically a job that they can do on their terms versus maybe the wealth or the freedom. They were more of just like, I just wanted to be able to do what I loved and
or just
make enough,
win.
And that's a myth.
And that was their win
freedom.
for them.
Because we always say like, it must be nice on your business. Like, my business still owns me. Like
you're
we're
texting on a Friday night at 11 p.m.
Like there is no, off and on. Like you're 24/7.
Well, you really can't even. How much do you work? I'm like, I don't even know, because sometimes a lot of times you love it too, though. Like if he called me and I talked to him for an hour from 7 to 8 about work, was that work? I guess. Do I count that as my 40 hours, or it's like you don't even think that.
And we're always texting our guys up until like 10 o'clock at night. Technically that's work, but it doesn't feel like it because.
I used to always say, if you can get a career where it's kind of your hobby and it bleeds together, you're going to be happy. If you're having coffee on a Saturday morning and if you're a chiropractor and you want to learn, mobility issues for a golf swing, you're going to be reading about that and learning that. So Monday you're like, I can tell that. Is that work, or did you love it? Is that your hobby, or is it work? And I think that when you have that bleeding, you're happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. A phrase that I really love this year, they're trying to live by, is that amateurs want to do what they love, but professionals learn to love what it takes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that sounds like fun to you to read about, what you're reading about on a Saturday morning. To some people, it doesn't sound like fun, but they were just looking for a job,
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys about your partnership. You guys have been doing this now for, coming up on what, 13
years March. Yeah.
We're on year 13.
Yeah.
And so, when you guys meet in school, you had never worked together before, right? There's got to be some trials along the way as far as getting started.
That's the original.
Heck yeah,
plan.
dude. I think we were wearing sweatpants in our demo day as well. But dude,
I remember that like it was yesterday.
That combination of you two has obviously been very successful to this point.
Is that Elite Fitness System shirt?
I don't know.
Or maybe it's Road.
He bought that for me.
He called me Train all the time, like Lane Train, and I think I bought it as a joke, but he liked it. But yeah, we actually tore down all that wallpaper and sanded down the glue, which is horrific. Chad jackhammered the tile up front, which is horrible.
Laid our own tile, laid our own carpet, painted the walls.
We did that too. Now if I think about
crooked.
doing that, I'm like, hell no.
No, we won't do it again. We actually, I was like, hey, we need to move this equipment over to our Raymore the other day. And Matt goes, we're hiring a moving company. I was like,
I'm going to spend $500. I'm not doing it.
I went out there the other day. I go, where'd that stuff go? I hired the moving company.
Dude, but with your guys' partnership, did you guys get lucky in the sense of what you guys are good at naturally?
Yes.
What your pros and cons are as far as, him and I are very yin and yang, people wouldn't think that we would like get along so well because we have just such different personalities, but I excel at the things he doesn't really like putting a lot of focus on, and vice versa. Is that similar for you guys?
For sure. I think our business was forged in friendship first. You know what I mean? And then you want a partner that you're kind of competing to outwork each other. What the fuck? What's he answering this email right now for? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I got to get on this. So I think that helped. I would say that I naturally like dream and like throw out wild ideas to grow. And I think he's let's think about this. Let's talk about this. Let's look at I remember our first clinic, we hired a guy named Jim Heatherman. Great dude. He's our CEO now. He's pretty much runs Fit. I'd be done with Fit if he left. Let's put it that way. And I remember we were talking about, I finally got him like wrapped around doing our second one right away. And then he was like, no. And then Jim's like, what do you want to do? He's like, yeah, I'd love to do something someday. And the joke is Jim literally walked in the next day and Matt goes, hey, we're looking at some spaces. And he went to bed and Jim's like, yeah. And then Jim tells the story. He's like, I thought we met like years from now. And we looked at, and like, when you like show up, you're like, oh, we're just going to look. Kind of like when you buy a car, we're just going to look. And all of a sudden, well, this isn't bad. And we could put a treatment room here and it's not that expensive. Well, then you're there. And then it's like that. I think people fail to take the first step.
Yeah.
And then the next day you take another step, right? And we did that. And then we opened up our second clinic. We're like, Jim, you're either going to prove the thing that we dreamed about, because he was our first satellite. He was the best person you're ever going to have to run it. This is either going to be the end of us growing or the beginning. Mm-hmm. And he proved it out. You know what I mean? He gave
awesome.
us the confidence to keep going.
Was your second location the one that was on Metcalf?
Yes, the very end.
Yep.
So that
I think
that
that's what
clinic
Jim
moved-
was the first guy I met through you
He was
guys'.
our first hire,
Yeah.
and our second hire runs Lee Summit, has ownership in that property. Jim has ownership in the building we built. So he moved off of Metcalf to 151st and 69, and we built the building, and he's a partner in that. So like the fruits of his labor, like he owns fit in his mind, and we'll do everything we can to make that right as time passes.
Sure.
Let's
Yeah.
put it that way, because he deserves everything he gets. He deserves more than that we can give him right now, to be honest with you. And I feel that way about our entire team, because you know how it is. At first, you can outwork problems, then you need great people. And once you get so
people
big,
are the leverage point, dude.
100%.
It's and especially in businesses like we are in,
Yeah.
you know, it's like you have to have, for us, we have to have good people at the top that cast the vision down, because it's like, of course we believe in it. It's our thing. Of course you guys believe in it, but you got to have the people that are that next tier that are casting the vision down.
It's definitely a bottleneck for sure. I think
great people, finding great people.
before we used to grow so quick, we were just hiring warm bodies because we need someone to service these people. We quickly learned like you can't do that, because that one person who's just poison, it just spreads.
Vision and values, man. They have to align with your vision and values, and you've got to, I think people got to believe that they're part of something bigger than themselves. And that's what fit is. Our goal was to change the perception of chiropractic. Now it's like, let's just be an affordable place that people can walk into, direct access, and get good care. And that's kind of our mission.
And I was going to say, like you're mentioning, we're dancing all around it, but patient care is, the key word there is the care.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to find people that are going to care as much as you do as owners. And so you guys have obviously, it sounds clear that you're very fortunate. You feel very fortunate that you found people that can care about your guys' mission.
Our team has never been better. It's so awesome. Like just to be around great people that believe in what you're doing. I think the big thing for us, specifically when we finally started hiring physical therapists, is a lot of PT places do double and triple booking, and they have techs and they have students and they have all these people, and you never really are one-on-one with the doctor, so to speak. So we get a lot of great physical therapists because like, I love all this movement-based stuff. I love working with patients. I like getting to know them. I don't want to be bouncing around. I want to be able to go in a treatment room, have a conversation with them, figure out their goals, and move them through their treatment plan and then beyond. Like, what are your goals beyond being out of pain? So people come to us because that model was created, because we're chiropractors. Chiropractors usually are one-on-one, but for chiropractic, we just said we want to spend longer with patients, like be like PTs. Mm-hmm. Then we realized PTs double and triple book. Well, that's one of our guarantees is we won't. Like if you come in, it's me and you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And PTs,
you're not going to get the student guy in the corner.
No. Yeah. So that's kind of our guarantee, we call it.
What else can you guys think about in your experience that makes like the fit, muscle, and joint experience unique compared to a standard chiropractic office?
Personalities. I think we banter and fuck around a lot, and patients like that. Like we always say, like, wouldn't you say, like, we wanted music playing and people to have a good experience.
Well, therapy kind of sucks, we're stabbing
if
with
you're
needles,
hurt.
we're poking at you. I mean, it can be painful, right? Like it's not fun, but like if your practitioners and we're joking and we're like, that's what she said jokes and things like that. Like it changes the environment for sure. And people just keep coming back because they like their practitioner. I mean, it's like the person who does your hair, right? Like you go back because you like your stylist, right?
I feel like you have to have passion for what you're doing and a personality to that. And like we talked, there's different ways to kind of mold that personality, but passion and personality brings people back because if you're passionate about what you're doing, the patient feels it like this person's going to help me. And always having somebody up front to greet you is a big thing. Like we talked about, like technology and stuff, but that patient care coordinator, that warm face that's high and gets to know them, that's big too. When my patient gets done with me and they're up there talking to the PCCs, I'm like, that's good. That's a good thing. They're having a great experience. And our clinics were a little bit like kind of red, a little more vibrant. They weren't like your traditional PT bear chiropractic office.
Agreed.
So it was like,
I feel like you guys have racks in the
we have rogue racks and kettlebells. So that was the population we went after, is you guys, the gym people, the people that worked out hard, that wanted to be healthy. So it resonated. They came in, it was no bullshit. I'm not lying to you about some of the other chiropractic techniques. It's like, no, you hurt your shoulder when you do this, this, and this. A lot of the people are very educated that come in. They already know a lot about their body. They know what they're coming in for. They smell the bullshit, and that really helps. And we just keep finding people that love treating like that. That one-on-one manual therapy, hands-on is one big thing. We really get in there and work the tissue. We don't just go through protocols. Here's your packet. Go ride the bike for 15 minutes. Like that's just not who we are.
I mean, my first experience with you guys, Jim, I was having some issues with my knee, and it was like you think that you go into a chiropractor and they're going to do, some needling or something like that. And I was doing I was doing stretches, I was doing mobility stuff. He was doing soft work, soft tissue work. He was doing, different exercises. And I remember leaving there like, I wasn't expecting that. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we want.
Yeah.
And then they go tell people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we got referrals, like the patient's still hurting. I don't even think I helped you yet, and you're referring in somebody.
Yeah.
And that's also a great compliment to our team. So, yep.
At what point, like we talked a little bit about COVID, before we got on the mics, but at what point did things start getting tougher than you expected?
From the start.
Every time things are going really good, you get the ball kicked.
We call them nut kicks. Yeah. We had like 4 last week, but then you had that one thing that works out well, like a really good hire, some good news about some project. I mean, you're just like, okay, let's keep going.
One of our values is resilience for a reason, because you have to be when you're growing a business. It's like the saying is, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. We're at year 13 and we're still grinding like hell, So I wish people understood the trials and tribulations. And this is a good point we were talking about for the listeners. It's like, we've all had bad times here. We woke up at 2 a.m., can't sleep. We've probably all cried. We've all bled for this. And that, if you go through that, just know that that's real, but get back up and try to get better the next day. So COVID was like probably one of our biggest ones. Losing great people was always very hard for me.
Especially in the beginning.
I mean, I literally I lose more sleep over when somebody leaves fit than I do anything else. Cause I'm like, why don't you see what I see? Where did I fuck up? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jeff will do that too. And I'm like, man, we're just not going to keep everybody. And it's like, I don't know.
Where did I go wrong?
It's tough to not take it personal, because you take their lack of belief as a lack of belief in you.
100%, man. 100%.
It's like you get dumped too. It's like having a girlfriend dump you.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying that you're going to do it better somewhere else, and I'm like, I don't know who you're going to meet that's going to care more than I do.
Yeah.
And that's not
There's
like
no one better than me.
No. Hey, I didn't say better. I said who's going to care more.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Do you
to this day?
But at some point, you're right. Like you had to be like, we can't please everyone. Like at some point, you're going to have people who you try as hard as you can. You do everything to make it like a happy, healthy environment. It's just not going to work out.
Yeah.
Do you think? Because I know myself that like probably one of the most frustrating things in owning a business and growing it is when your team doesn't know how much you care. Like if they heard the conversations we have are not like, hey, we need to do this. It's nothing. It's no like scheming. It's like, how do we make this a better place? I'm tired of this. I want people to be happy. I want to pay them more. I want to be successful. Like we've probably given away a lot more than people know than we should have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you look at just the business side of net profit margin, how much you should give away, it's like that's very important to me. Is I wanted people to feel like that they're growing their career with fit, like we talked about. So to me, that's probably the hardest thing is I wish you knew how much I really do care about you.
Yeah.
I know that sounds cheesy, but
no, man, it's loyalty is one of our core values.
Yeah.
And that's a two-way street, and so we have to remember that at times. And every once in a while, I know what it's like to work somewhere and feel undervalued.
Yep.
I know what that's like. And I try to make sure that our staff never feels like that, right? So it's always a gut check in a positive way when we have an employee that we truly care about, that we're having late night discussions on how we can help that person, get what they want out of life all the way. Right. And, we had I won't get into a personal story, but I'll just say that like it happened, just recently where one of our best guys didn't feel valued and we didn't make him feel valued in a time where we totally should have. And I was like, I can't believe I'm still making mistakes like that. We're all human, but yeah, absolutely. It's one of the hardest things is to like, man, you have no idea how much we put all of our energy and effort into making sure that you guys are taken care of.
I also think the thing that we, to touch on what he just said, for a 22-year-old, like 3 months is so long. For me, it's literally like, and so it's like remembering that like touch points have to be more often for younger people because their perception of time is like a lot, different than ours as we age.
That's actually a really good point. Because I'm always like 3 to 5 years from now.
I know. They're like,
what are you talking about?
I'm going to be like, that's a total, I'm going to be old by then. I know.
When life stops happening in form of semesters, it takes them a long time to understand. Like
that's true.
That is so true.
Our old boss, he one time, because we were basically antsy to want to come open in Kansas City. And I was like, you know, basically having that conversation, like, you know, this is taking a lot of time. And he goes, hey man, he goes, you know, in 10 years, you're going to be 35 years old. And he's like, and you're going to feel just like you do now. And I was like, at that time, I didn't realize what he was saying, but he was like, the time's going to pass, right? And and it's going to pass. You can either do something that you love to be doing and be building something, or it's going to pass and, you know, you're going to get to 35 and you're going to look back and you're going to think that wasn't that long ago. I could have just stuck it out during that time that I needed to be grinding. Yeah. And I mean, it's one of the best things that he ever told me, because it's very true. Because by the time I hit 35, I felt like, you know, outside of like my knee and I felt shoulders, basically the same.
A little longer to warm up before the workout.
A little bit longer, but like, you know, work life, you kind of feel the same. You're just like, you know.
What we pour into our teams is just, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, you go together, and really hammer that as much as we possibly can, because there's a lot of people, you know, that get antsy. And, you know, it's wild to think, you know, at the time when Kyle grew within our company, I was 3 years ahead of him. And in young people years, that's crazy. You know, I was in there forever compared to him, right? Yeah. But I was there for 3 years longer than him. And so we were talking about going to Kansas City a long time ago, around the same time you guys started Fit. Yeah. And there was like 50 people that worked for us longer than Kyle. And I could think of like 5 to 10 people that, you know, that our company gave a lot of recognition to, that would probably get this opportunity over him. And it's just wild to see all these people quit over the most personal, stupid, just, you know, like grass is greener scenarios. Somebody got promoted over them and, you know, they thought that was bullshit, whatever it may be. And it's just wild to see how many people who can't really stomach or have the stamina, and they just can't see things past themselves, because that's the only thing I try to explain to people, is that they really take the care of it you're talking about here, Chad, as far as truly caring about the clinic, truly caring about the patient, really picking up that trash, like you're saying too, Matt. If you truly start thinking like that, then you just know it's going to work out for you, because your belief is so strong. All of your actions are fully in alignment with, this is going to be mine, you know? And that's how we started treating our stores when we were working them. And it wasn't a matter of like, if we can do this, it's just, when are you going to allow us to? And so that's why we were thinking we're going to open up 10 of these as soon as we open up one. Yeah. Because it's not a matter of if, we've already proven it. You know what I mean?
I love it when I talk to business owners like yourself, because we all have these like little sayings and stuff we put in our head, and it's exactly like that. These conversations are being had before at the very beginning. Like you're believing in it so much that you're almost blinded by it. You know what I mean? And you have to. It's almost like you live your business world in like cliches, but they're real. You know what I mean? Got to grind, got to get up, got to go, like all that stuff.
All those start to make sense to you as you're in business. You know, it's like I could see from the outside looking in, if you're not involved in business at that level, where you're like, that sounds cheesy, you know, but if you live through it, then it becomes,
that's a beautiful way to
you hear other people say it and you're like, yeah, like you just immediately connect with them. Like, I get it, man. Some of the best conversation I had it with business owners that were patients. Yeah. I learned more in the treatment room than I've ever learned anywhere. Like every time in the treatment room, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. It's somebody that's an exec or owns their business or gives a perspective. And I just like, I'm a genuinely inquisitive person, and you ask people questions and you learn so much from them, you know? So
I couldn't agree more.
You guys also, you have, you know, when you guys are hiring people in, you're hiring people out of chiropractic school. Like for us, you know, because of the pay amount that we have, you know, the
retail pay is different.
The last, you know, 5 years has been, you know, basically the ground fell out from underneath us. And there was a point there where we're like trying to just figure out like, okay, we're literally going to have to, you know, increase our pay significantly. Yeah. What does our business model even look like when you do that?
Yeah.
You know,
can you even still do you maintain the same amount of people working at the same time? Yeah. Can you maintain your prices where they're at? Yeah. Because when you are a retail business, you know, we're not doing service, right? So if you're doing retail, the things that fluctuate on price, right, is going to be like your shipping, right?
Cost of goods, labor.
And your labor. And all three go up.
Yeah.
So what can you do?
Yeah.
If all three go up, then you have to increase your price. Yeah. And it's like, and it might have to be significant because all three are going up at once. And it's just a wild time to be in retail. And so that's why we go back to the same things we're all talking about. It's just, it's all about the experience and the relationships you're building in the store. Our cost of business,
just to increase our price. Like we wanted to be the cheapest and the best. I know that sounds kind of bad, but we wanted people to come in and have a great experience so they could tell people. So early on, we were about getting people in the door. Just, it was almost like every patient we called like a marketing event. Like every patient was a marketing event. So if it was, we were treating people for free just to get like our word out there. But yeah,
and you're still doing that on the weekends.
100% all the time. Like we want to go out to businesses and give back. And a lot of places warm welcoming, because they're like, if you come in and work on my clients at a gym, it makes my gym better because they have this service. So like we were trying to partner with mutually beneficial relationships like we talked about earlier. But yeah, I mean, with us, we've had to, I mean, rent goes up, salaries go up. Insurance pays shittier.
Yeah.
Price, or what's so funny is reimbursement to providers in the healthcare world is less than it's ever been, and coverage for clients, because I carry insurance, is less than it's ever been. So we're getting screwed.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's just the business environment. I'm hopeful that, you know, the business environment can, you know, go up, but like consumer, you know, the consumer data doesn't look awesome right now.
No.
What's next for you guys?
I think we're drawing up paperwork to be a consulting and management company a little bit. We've got our first one going up to Iowa, like we talked about.
What makes you not want to?
What keeps you from just going the franchise route?
Yeah, I feel like you guys have such a good brand, you know. And
I don't know right now, to be honest with you, if how we currently operate, the net profit margin is really good enough for like a franchise model.
Can the model be a bare minimum of a certain amount of locations?
Yeah,
that makes it make sense, right? So it's like, we're going to sign you on a three clinic deal as the bare minimum.
Yeah, I think
because you just sell them by the market versus by the franchise.
It's going to evolve for sure. Like this is our first go, so we're just trying to figure it out.
We had a rough couple years, like with just trials and tribulations, like we talked about before. So like right now, like this is like kind of the stability year. We talked about like kind of our roadmap that we've created within our business, and then we're having trouble recruiting great people. So we're opening up our 11th clinic next week. So we want to fill up the clinics with good providers first, which will drive our net profit margin up because we're already paying for the PCC, you know how it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our next step, because we wanted to keep growing the footprint, but we're like, man, right now is like, we're having clinics that have too many new patients to service. So then you can't get in, then it creates a patient experience problem. So right now, like our bottleneck is recruiting great providers.
Right.
So that's like, that's our bottleneck. So we need to get to a point where it's more expensive to be understaffed than it is to be overstaffed and paying some people that aren't quite full yet.
100%.
You know what I mean? So that's probably our next year. Get through kind of the last 2 years that really hurt like the bottom line. And then I think we'll be excited again to like start expanding.
But they're all expensive, but they're learning lessons.
100%.
So I'm glad you guys got through it and learned a good lesson, a valuable lesson, and now we can put that obviously moving forward.
Yep.
Licensing deals, that could be also something you guys look into. I'm not familiar with the consulting deal.
It's consulting and licensing basically.
Oh, is it?
So it's two different businesses. It's like there's like tiers of it, but we would like help you come out of school, get open. Like we got a guy financing that frankly wouldn't have got financing without
Will
us.
It be called Fit?
Yeah, it'll be everything. They'll be on our website. They'll tie in. We'll set up the Google Plus page. We'll do all that stuff kind of for
You're
them.
bypassing the FDD and all that stuff.
So
The exciting thing to hear about you guys is that you also want to be in Tulsa, right next to a supplement superstore.
Go.
I'm telling you, dude. You guys got the right person. Yeah. Come hang out.
It was funny though. Like you just kind of get complacent. Like once you like have like we've had 6 months to a year where things are actually going well. You're like, how do I screw this up now?
Yeah. Well, you're like you guys have done it. Like, oh, this is going terrible. We're not doing another one of these, and then it starts going good. You're like, what's next?
Yeah. You're like, we gotta go outside of Kansas City. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like you almost like feel better where you know where the flame is, like where the fire is. You know,
Sure.
like I almost kind of feel more uneasy when things are going great because you're just like,
what's coming?
Where's it coming from?
Right. You can't idle hands, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's weird.
I hope that there's business owners or people looking at opening a business that's listening to this. Like, okay, so when you feel like what we're talking about, you'll be like, this is normal. keep going. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it was Alex from Aussie or somebody I was listening to, and it was like the biggest predictor of success for an entrepreneur is not like IQ or like where they went to school or any of these things. It's like how long they can endure pain. It's like their pain tolerance over time.
Delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification is way more important than like anything else because
it's just endure.
Elon Musk has said that. It's like my tolerance for like BS and chaos is so high. Like it takes very little to rattle me more. And it's so true. Like at the 13 years, like something that happens, like you stress out a little bit, but you're like, well, we'll figure it out.
I saw something where it's like you get better at hard. Yeah. It's not any easier. You just get better at hard.
Growth is discomfort, man. It's you carry a heavy burden and eventually you just learn how to carry it better. Yeah. It's just like the weight just feels lighter over time. I think that's a great spot right there to put a pin in this. There's a question we like to ask all of our guests, and that is just simply put.
Are you guys from Kansas City, by the way?
Small town he is. I'm from Russell, Kansas, so a little small town.
Russell, Kansas, man.
Anyone from Russell? Russell's like Kevin Bacon. Yeah. Like he'll mention Russell, and
you can't say Russell, Kansas without like telling us the big city that's by it. What is
Salina and Hayes?
Oh, Salina and Hayes. All right.
Hayes, Kansas. My mom owns a restaurant there. Stop by.
6 degrees and 7 bacon.
What's the address? What's the phone number?
Which one? 4300, I think.
Still trap.
Dude, you want to ask another question right in the middle of my question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I was just trying to get some feedback on where they're
Any more
from.
questions you want to ask while I'm
no,
asking
dude.
a question?
No, sir. You can ask a question.
Okay. When you have people coming to visit you in town.
Anyway, so what? No.
Kansas City's known for its barbecue. What's your guys' go-to place?
Oh, easy.
Z-Man, Oklahoma Joe's.
You want to call it Casey Joe's?
No. It actually travels well if you get to go. It's one of the better barbecue places you can bring. I have 3 little kids at home, so going in to eat's not an option right now.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I tried to eat healthy. My wife was out of town a couple weekends ago, and I was like, screw it. I'm just going to eat whatever. And I got the rocket pig, got the fries. I got the burnt-in chili and the beans. And
this dude can eat.
Yeah. Holy crap, that is.
The rocket pig's my go-to as well.
It's so good.
Anything with spice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
I was going to say, we went actually down to Oklahoma to visit our store down there and look for some extra spots down there. And they opened up a brand new Oklahoma Joe's, like right down the street from our store. And we were at Texas Roadhouse talking to the server, and they're like, "Hey, have you had that Oklahoma Joe's?" She's like, "No, I haven't had it yet. I heard some." She's like, "I heard some decent things." I'm like, "You have no idea how lucky you are. They just opened right there." It's wild when you pluck something out and put it somewhere else. How much people just don't know.
Yeah, a little gym just sitting there.
Exactly. All right, guys. Hey, we appreciate your time.
Man, this went fast.
Thank you, guys. Awesome. Yeah, man. Yeah. what I was going to say is
how they can find you.
No, yeah. How they can find you guys, and then if you guys have anything coming up that you want people to know about, whether that's specials or anything that you have
I guess
going
if people
on.
want to get started, what's the best way they can get started with you?
Man, I've even put my number out there, but just fitmjc.com is kind of our website. There's a patient portal. You can do a free consultation. So if you have injuries, you can call us. We're opening up our KCK home field clinic. You guys know the home field guys, like we said.
Great people.
That's kind of our amateur sports play. We love those guys. There it is, right there to the left.
Nice little location there.
It's beautiful inside. They've got great leadership, great strength and conditioning. We're really working on the synergy there for the athlete. It's the pro player pathway. So we basically really want that experience, the youth athlete, to feel like they're a professional, if that makes sense. So. Yeah, anything else, man?
Iowa. We're coming to Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa. We've got...
what area?
Des Moines, like a little bit outside Des Moines.
I think probably the misconception, too, is we take direct access, any musculoskeletal pain. We're like the navigator of your care. If you come to us and we don't think we can help you, we know great orthos, great primary care, great pain doctors. We can order MRIs, we can order x-rays. A lot of people don't realize that. We also do post-surgical rehab with our physical therapist and sports performance after you're done with surgery. We don't really like dip into that because that's like Tyler and a lot of the people we trust. So we don't do sports performance. We do return to sport to the sports performance people, if that makes sense. So people kind of get lost, like, oh, I have foot pain. My foot hurts. I can't go to the fit. They're chiropractors. Like, no, we have PTs. We work on feet. And I think the biggest thing is we will navigate your care, and we're much cheaper than going to your primary care. They do an x-ray, give you medication, you know what I mean? Then you go get an MRI and like, well, all you need, and then they'll come back and be like, did you try therapy yet? Well, I guess I will now after I just spent all this money. So yeah, primary care, direct access, navigator of your care is probably the most important thing.
Love it, man.
Very cool.
Anything else worth noting while we got you?
Just thank you guys, man. I'd love to hang out and talk shop more. maybe we'll get a building together and do something in the future.
Yeah, dude,
So,
Oklahoma. Anyways, thank you guys for being on. Really appreciate it.
We appreciate your time.
Thanks.
All right, guys, if you've made it this far, you've gotten to the end of the episode, we really, really appreciate you taking the time and spending your day with us. As always, we'd really appreciate any kind of support you can give to the show. If you're new to the show, we do not run ads. We do not do anything to try to collect a fee. All we ask is that you guys please support the podcast, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and give it a share. So if you've gotten this far, thank you again for listening and making us a part of your day.